Welcome to the Great Art Guide. Today, we're turning our attention to one of the most stirring and patriotic images in American art history, Washington Crossing the Delaware by Emanuel Leutze. This monumental painting, completed in 1851, is more than just a depiction of a pivotal moment in the American Revolutionary War. It's a dramatic celebration of leadership, sacrifice, and the pursuit of freedom. Through sweeping composition, heroic poses, and rich symbolism, Leutze creates a scene that has come to define American resilience. Its monumental scale, nearly 4 by 6.5 meters, adds to its dramatic impact, making viewers feel as though they are part of the moment. Historical context. Let's begin with the historical backdrop. The event depicted took place on the night of December 25 into the early morning of December 26, 1776. General George Washington led a surprise attack across the icy Delaware River, ferrying about 2,400 soldiers from Pennsylvania into New Jersey to confront Hessian forces in the town of Trenton. The conditions were brutal: ice floes, freezing temperatures, and treacherous river currents. But the attack was a success. Washington's army won a crucial victory that revived morale during one of the darkest periods of the war. Emanuel Leutze painted this scene more than 70 years later, not in the United States, but in Germany. His intention wasn't just to honor American history, it was also meant to inspire liberal reformers in Europe fighting for democratic ideals. So while the painting is American in subject, its message is universal: courage in the face of adversity, and hope in the pursuit of liberty. Key figures and mood. Now let's take a closer look at the figures in this painting, not just who they are, but what they represent and how Leutze uses each of them to convey meaning. At the center, towering above all, is George Washington. He stands upright at the bow of the boat, wrapped in a sweeping blue military coat, one knee slightly bent on the edge. His pose is famously unrealistic. No general would ever stand like that in an ice-filled river. But Leutze isn't aiming for literal truth. He's creating an icon. Washington is lit from above with a soft, almost divine light, isolating him visually and spiritually as a leader with both vision and valor. His gaze is locked forward, not at his men, not at the river, but toward the future. He embodies resolve, composure, and destiny. Two men hold the American flag, each symbolizing different aspects of the revolutionary cause. The first flag-bearer, dressed in military uniform, is Lieutenant James Monroe, who will later become the 5th President of the United States. He holds the flag aloft with a strong, noble stance, representing the hope, freedom, and unity of the revolution. The second flag-bearer, further back on the right side, holds the flag lower and more subdued, representing the common people, the ordinary soldiers who bore the burden and sacrifice of the struggle for independence. His more subdued posture suggests the toll of the journey, contrasting with the heroic stance of Washington and Monroe. Together, these two figures represent the collective spirit of the revolution, carrying the ideals of the fledgling United States forward, despite the hardships and uncertainty of the journey. Now shift your eyes to the rowers. These men are physically strained, bent into the oars, faces taut with cold and effort. Each represents a different segment of colonial society. There's a man in a red shirt and bandana, possibly a farmer or laborer. Another wears a deerskin cap, likely a frontiersman from the Western Territories. One figure near the front of the boat appears to be of African descent, dressed in muted tones, quietly asserting that Black Americans also contributed to the fight for freedom. Each rower is positioned in a way that draws your eye around the boat, creating a kind of visual unity. Different men with different backgrounds, all working toward a common cause. There's also a man clutching the side of the boat with both hands, staring into the water with concern. He represents doubt and vulnerability. And then there's the ice and the man breaking the ice. The Delaware River is fragmented with jagged slabs that jut from the water like broken glass. These aren't just environmental obstacles, they symbolize the fractured colonies, the perilous path of revolution, and the physical danger of this mission. The entire boat, packed to its edges, is slightly off balance as it cuts through the ice. This tilt adds tension and urgency, but it also echoes the larger imbalance of the revolution itself, a daring effort that could collapse at any moment. In the distance, through the icy fog, we can just make out the silhouette of the far shore. It's dim but visible, hope on the horizon. The soldiers' backs are to it now, but that's their destination. That faint shoreline stands in for Trenton, for victory, for the future United States itself. Leutze intended this painting to be aspirational. Each figure, each detail, is more than narrative, it's symbolic. Washington doesn't just lead the boat, he leads an idea. The boat doesn't just cross a river, it crosses into a new era. The men don't just row, they labor on behalf of something greater than themselves. Even in exhaustion, injury, and bitter cold, they push forward with purpose. That's the emotional heart of the scene, and the spirit Leutze wanted viewers to carry with them. Composition and symbolism. From a compositional standpoint, Leutze uses every inch of the canvas to drive the narrative forward. The boat slices diagonally through the icy water, creating a dynamic line that pulls the viewer's eye toward Washington. The figures are arranged in a tight triangle, with Washington as the apex, reinforcing his role as the focal point and the guiding force of the mission. The American flag is angled sharply into the wind, echoing Washington's posture and reinforcing the sense of defiance. Although the stars and stripes weren't officially adopted until later, Leutze includes it here as a patriotic flourish, a visual shorthand for the cause. The use of light is equally symbolic. Washington is bathed in a soft, almost celestial glow, while the background remains darker and more turbulent. This contrast underscores the idea of leadership bringing light into darkness, of hope guiding a desperate mission. Leutze also includes symbolic elements in the environment. The fractured ice represents the treacherous obstacles the revolutionaries had to overcome. The distant shore, dimly visible in the background, stands for the promise of success and the dawn of a new era. Even the posture of the oarsman, bent but not broken, speaks to the physical and spiritual struggle of the moment. Technique and style. Leutze's style is romanticized and theatrical, typical of 19th-century history painting. His figures are idealized and highly detailed, rendered with dramatic lighting and expressive gestures. He uses oil on canvas to achieve a rich texture, allowing for deep contrasts between light and shadow. Leutze wasn't concerned with strict historical accuracy. The boat is too small for the number of men, and the flag is anachronistic, but what he sacrifices in realism, he gains in emotional power. His goal was to stir the viewer's imagination and patriotic spirit, to make the moment feel immediate and inspiring. Conclusion. Emanuel Leutze's Washington Crossing the Delaware is not just a tribute to a military maneuver, it's a visual manifesto for courage, unity, and visionary leadership. Through its sweeping composition, diverse cast, and symbolic details, the painting captures the essence of the American experiment and the price of freedom. Thanks for joining us here at the Great Art Guide. If you enjoyed this exploration of a true American masterpiece, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most powerful and iconic artworks. See you next time.